Alrighty guys, welcome back to Collector's Company Card Gaming channel. Alright Will, tell us what you did this weekend.
So this weekend I managed to top 8 the OCE Nationals with my favourite leader, Golden Frieza.
Awesome, there it is, the boy, Golden Frieza from set 1. Alright, tell us about how your day went actually.
Yeah, so it was a reasonably good day. I mean, I managed to start the day off with a buy from an event prior to the coronavirus, so that's always a good thing. Then game 1 was against an Android 18 mill player, so get the tokens, play 100% overdrive. Game 1 he managed to smoke me, he had more answers than I had counters. Game 2, I was able to get the new Goku Crusher Ball against him, tap down his 100% overdrive, he didn't have a baby ape to counter with me. And then game 3, we went to time, I was able to stay at 8 life because I just drew a bunch of riposts and pretty hard to pierce through that in only a couple of turns. Game 2 was against one of my mates, Peely, unfortunately. He was playing Dark Broly, which was an interesting one in this day and age. Again, it was a pretty back and forth. Game 1, I managed to get him by just comboing up, I think, a Dragon Fist with my SCR up to 100k. Game 2, he just managed to get the aggro on me way too early. And then Game 3, I managed to do the same thing I did in Game 1. Game 3 of the day was against Cell Surge. I just don't think he expected me to be as aggressive as I was. And I was able to just burst him down to 3 on about turn 2, which forced him to awaken early. And then he got my hand down, and I was able to just do my big awakening turn. I think I drew about 8 cards in a single turn. That allowed me to re-establish. Game 2, I was able to side in my apes, my Deborahs, and that made it a little bit easier to keep up the hand advantage. My next match was my only loss in Swiss against Tyson playing Red Piccolo. He played the deck very well, the King Piccolo deck, sorry. Very strong player. And just a very bad matchup. The King Piccolo Unison is very, very strong against me. The one they choose to play, the 15k that draws a card and just kills all my combos. And then my final game in Swiss was against a Soul Striker player. Basically, he just kept trying to establish threats, and nobody expects the third Bloodlust. As far as top 8 goes, again, I was paired against the King Piccolo player who took me out of Swiss. Game 1, I was able to play a very grindy, very intense game and managed to just close it out with 1 card left in my deck, full-on combo, swing from trunks, all of this sort of stuff. And games 2 and 3, unfortunately, he was able to establish underneath me and get that win. Instead, it still allowed me to secure a top 8, which is sort of my first big nationals top, so I'm very happy about that.
No, honestly, that is an absolutely huge achievement. I believe this is also your first nationals top as well, so congratulations. I'm sure you'll be really excited to get the Gogeta Zeno Metal Leader card. That is a huge, huge accomplishment and trophy that you will be getting. So right now, how about we go through the deck that you were running? So we'll just do a deck profile and let's go have a look at the cards that we were running.
Start off with the obvious stuff.
Yep.
The 8 cantrips, you play them, you draw a card. Cool. I also ran one of this, the same stuff, different day. This was originally a sorbet, but I kept whiffing on it, and honestly, the only card I wanted to add off it was the riposte that you'll be seeing in a minute. So I decided to cut it. I feel the American players also came to the same conclusion, which was nice to sort of get a bit of confirmation on that. And some of my strongest turns are ones where I had a Frieza's army left over. So this is just a negate, just stops the attack, so it just allowed me to untap and just have my full energy rather than having to trade 1 for 1 or 1 for 2, depending on if I was awakened or not. Then it was just backed up by 4 Frieza's Calls. This effectively was just another copy of these cards. It also serves as an extra card for your riposte and for your new Goku Crusher Ball thing.
I have to say one thing, these cards are beautiful. Look at them, full foil here. And these event pack Frieza's Call, absolutely beautiful.
So happy that I got to sleeve these up again. And then to finally sort of round out this package, 2 Hasty Dispatch Dispo. This was a tech that I got from Kentasi and the other American players who are on this deck. It's just very good for giving you a 0 mana way to restart your plays, restart your engine, like get a Trunks out after something like that. It's also quite good against red and green decks because you do have the problem of you tapping out or tapping down to play one of your 1-drops, then playing, say, a Yamcha or a Bad Omen or Omen Awakening or a Charismatic Villain outside of the green deck. And this just allows you to re-establish there without losing any energy.
All right, just a quick question from me here as well. How often did you whiff on a Frieza's army on your mulligan or draw?
So I don't think I whiffed at all in the early game. Occasionally I would whiff maybe around like turn 2, turn 3, and that would be a bit of a speed bump, but I don't think I ever lost because of it, thankfully.
Yep, that's good.
The other thing was running a lot of additional draw cards like, well, we'll move into it, these Gokus, as well as Power of a Super Saiyan and stuff did allow me to dig a bit harder. And of course, we've got my Robotic Ripostes.
Yep.
They are very good cards, and also they're Frieza's army cards, and this was one of the main reasons I wanted to play this deck. I'm always interested in a deck that can take a good card and make it better, and being able to just play this, swing if I want to, or just sack it off if I don't, generally was just a huge amount of value. And speaking of fantastic cards that I can just sacrifice value when I no longer need them.
Ooh, look
3
at this bad boy.
Divine Transformation. This card is bonkers. A lot of lists I've been seeing have been running only 2 of them and 3 of this next card, Dragon Fist. However, this card is insane in multiples. For some reason, they forgot to give this unique, which is honestly absurd to me. The fact that it comes down, clears the board, acts as a blocker, and then if you've got 2 of them, if they ever activate a counterplay, you're locking down 4 of their things. Now, you can tap down stuff. You can also just lock down things that are already locked down. Honestly, the amount of times I was able to get 2 of these on board and still lose a game, I don't think it ever happened. It is absurd in high numbers. I don't think I'd move to the 4th, at least in the main, but when I could get it, it was amazing. Yeah. And then, of course, you've got the Dragon Fist, Spirit Boost 2, Dual Attack, Double Strike, 25k. They can't use any of their battle card effects under 7 or less, so really the only thing you have to worry about there are secret rares like Hachiarch and the Ape, as well as the new SR, the Arrival, I believe it's Khalifa or Kale, the one that can just bottom deck something. But anything beyond that, this thing just comes in, you combo up on it, and it just does a huge amount of damage, especially when combined with your Trunks Unison, which we'll get to in a bit. And then, of course, Fu Shrouded. I'm kind of medium on it. I don't know if it ever actually won me a game throughout the day. It's a nice threat to have, but between this and this, I might move away for it for another yellow threat, because having the off-color charge did come up, and it was unfortunately relevant.
Oh, that's cool. Did you ever win a game with any of these cards? Which one of your boss monster would you say won you the most games?
This guy, 100%. Then it was this guy. This one is good, but he requires a setup, and we're only running 4 unisons. Now, don't get me wrong, they're very, very good unisons, the Meki Kabura and the Trunks. However, Trunks has no way that he can reasonably tick up outside of stacking a Trunks under a Trunks, so if they just attack him a couple of times, you're going to lose him. And Meki Kabura is a 4 energy play. Now, don't get me wrong, with all the restanding of energy we can do with our leader, that's a little bit easier than it would be in something like Icarus. However, it is still a major cost.
No, that's really amazing, because honestly, Trunks can give you the offensive pressure, and Meki Kabura there can also give you the defensive pressure, depending on the style that you want to opt to go for. Honestly, the 2-2 split, probably does amazing as well.
Yep.
Gives you options.
2-2 split felt perfect to me. It's possible if I was to retool the side deck or expected a different sort of meta, maybe I'd put an extra copy of one of these 2 in the side. I didn't, and I never really felt like I needed more unisons, if I'm being honest with you. You just see so many cards and you want as few dead draws as possible. And if there was one major weakness I found in this deck, is that I would occasionally have hands that were clunked up by extra cards, by unisons, etc. So just having these 4 and finding them when I needed them felt perfect in my opinion.
No, awesome. Let's
clean
quickly
up
clear
the
this
board
up
a
here.
little bit as we move on to some of the extra card choices I made.
Alrighty.
So we'll start with the obvious stuff. 4 Power of a Super Saiyan, it draws you a card, it can be a hard negate, which happens once or twice throughout the day.
We'll focus on this beautiful SPR artwork, yeah?
Yep. And
honestly,
then, of course, Final Flash as well. Again, these I found myself holding a lot, maybe a little bit too much, because honestly, this plus Dragon Fist is a ridiculous amount of pressure. This is also very, very good when combined with your 1-drop cantrips for dealing with your opponent's other hate cards. So one thing I did a lot with this deck, especially in the post-Sideboard games rather, was against, say, someone who established a Borgos or a Whis against me. I'd swing in with my leader, activate Power of a Super Saiyan, tap down their thing, play my, 1-drop, which I just want to play anyway. Let's just say my Tagoma, for example. Swing up the Borgos with the Tagoma. If they comboed out, cool. If they didn't, it dies. And then if they do combo out, sacrifice it. If I've got another energy around, I can do another one and just do it again. And it generally means that their hate bears are reasonably easy to deal with even in game 1. I did it also against Piano out of the King Piccolo matchup, and that was honestly probably the thing that won me the game, just being able to get rid of that before they could have that established.
Quick question here.
Yeah.
Would you ever consider running a 3rd Final Flash? Did you ever miss having a 3rd one?
I don't think I did. There is consideration there if I wanted to move away from one of the weaker cards in the deck, which I'll get to a bit later, of having the 3rd one just to be able to charge it as an extra card early.
Yeah.
For your Riposte and your Gokus, but I never felt like I needed to cast a third one, but maybe having the flexibility for his charging would be nice. It's something to consider.
That's good to have your insights.
Yep. Then Cold Bloodlust.
Ooh.
It's Golden Frieza.
Yep.
Moving on. To complement the Cold Bloodlust, we've got Death Blaster here. So this one is an interesting one. Warp 2 extra cards, send to your warp. All your energy has to be mono yellow, and the extra cards have to be mono yellow, and it crusher balls and bloodlusts them. So this is really good in a few situations. I mean, obviously it's good against like the usual things you want bloodlust against, you know, your Fu Shrouders, your other big boss monsters. But also it's really good against decks like Sin that try to produce a really wide board. This just for 2 energy completely answers that.
Yeah.
Then Frieza's Army Reinforcements.
Ooh, yep, more boys.
Yeah. Sadly, they're not actually Frieza's Army because you can't sacrifice them to your leader, but you know, you just play one of your tokens, which on the day I was using these point cards, because why not? Yeah, look, these are just really good mostly for protecting on your unison turns, and also, again, in those situations where you are tapped out because your opponent counterplayed your 1-drop, these gives you a little bit of defensive ability there as well. You're also tapping stuff down, so the blocker does a huge amount, and honestly, in testing especially, I was able to actually pressure a lot with the blocker. It's surprisingly easy to do that with, so that's always something to keep in mind. Definitely, one thing I will say with this card, I've seen people against this deck just leave the token on the field rather than attacking and force me to block with it. I'd probably attack anyway unless you're really worried about your battle card dying, just because this does provide a surprising amount of pressure. A 10k is not great, but when you've got it for free, it can sometimes get you over the line. Secret Rare of Choice. To complement the other 2 Bloodlust effects, we've got the Super 17. The other possibility was the Pan Unison. I did have access to that. I was lucky enough to pull it in one of my pre-release packs. However, I said I'd lend it to a mate because I was feeling nice that weekend, and he was lending me this. And honestly, this was the SCR I tested with. This came up a lot. And even just like little things, the fact that you can just play it as a 1-mana 40k crit came up a huge amount of time with just no board. And especially considering that a lot of your boss monsters like your Dragon Fist require some sort of established board, being able to produce a threat for such a low investment came in clutch so often. And there are also other little interesting plays, like against one of my red opponents, they played the Vegito 4-drop Unison. A counter played with this, sucked up one of their cards, and that gave me a 40k thing of pressure before they could get their -2 and stop me from playing it out.
Did you ever miss having Pan? Would you consider running any other SCRs, or is this still the correct SCR for this deck?
Kai and Pan were definitely considerations. I mean, they always are. They're fantastic SCRs, and I do have access to both of them, so it wasn't a card access concern. I do like the ability of Kai to deal with Unison, so I'd probably lean towards Kai before Pan. But again, that ability to just drop this 1-mana, no questions asked 40k crit, and the fact that it's a yellow card, so in games where it's not very good, I can charge it, was the things that put me over the line. It's possible if I had more time to test with them that I would, in the end, go with Kai or Pan. I did test a little bit with Kai, and my results were inconclusive. Didn't test with Pan. I don't think I was incorrect running this, however, and I think if you've got access to this, definitely try it out, but maybe in more testing, Pan would get me there. That said, this definitely won me games that Pan wouldn't have, but it's possible Pan would have won me games that this wouldn't have, so... Yeah.
Awesome. You first heard it from Will there. You know, if you haven't picked it up right now, I think it's still going for around $100, so pick it up soon before the price spikes there.
Look, just simple, 3 Self-Awakeners. You'll see in a minute this one on the side. This was just the best one. You know, take a life, pay an energy, take a life again. You can use it to search your deck. Offline, I will usually search my deck the first time if I haven't played like a Frieza's Army call to see what's in there. However, online, I was concerned about time. I didn't want to add extra shuffling. That was another reason I cut the Sorbet from the deck. Yeah. But just minor things like that. We're not running the extra card to go with it. You can, but I think it's a little bit too clunky, especially if you're only running 3.
Yep.
Super combo of choice was just 4 Krillins. Zamasu is good, and it is a consideration, and I saw some of the lists were running a 4-1 split. However, I disliked its ability to filter away dead cards like Unisons, like extra cards, and the fact that I have a good amount of shuffling effects between the Roshis, between the Frieza's Calls, etc., meant that if I saw something that I wanted to put away early, like say a Dragon Fist or a Fu, I could generally shuffle that back into my deck and actually have access to it. It's not like in some decks, like say when I was playing Baby, when the card that I put at the bottom was generally a dead card. And then we'll just move on to the sort of like the power 1-drops. Swift Retaliation Cooler, it's great, especially in this deck when you can untap with it. I only used it a couple of times, and I honestly did combo it away or charge a lot, but you can do that since this is a yellow card in a yellow deck. It's not a Frieza's Army card, but every time I played it, I was happy to have played it, and I may have got rid of it too early. I don't think I'd go up to 2, as some people have been, but I like it as a one-off.
All right, real question here.
Yeah.
Did you negate any pans or any really, really insane counter cards with this?
Baby Hatch was probably the biggest thing I negated with it. That's the other thing with it as well. It is very hard if you've got... And this isn't that hard to do in a deck like Golden Frieza can restand a bunch of energy. If you can play Dragon Fist, have sort of 3 energy up, so that way you can swing in, and if they counter you cooler, if they arrival someone that deals with it, you Bloodlust. It's very hard to get out of that particular squeeze. Overrealm of choice outside of the Fu was the Masked Saiyan. This was the Fighting Against Fate for the longest amount of time. However, the second swing doesn't come up a huge amount. I'm not playing Champa, and just having a main deck answer to certain little threats, and also the fact that Icarus started mainboarding Whis was really the thing that pushed me over the line on this. Yes, I can do the trick, like I said, with the power of a Super Saiyan, and yes, I do have other answers on the side, but I wanted a Overwhelm for pressure, and this did it fine. Lord Slug, it's a good card. It honestly didn't come up as much as I would like. It was impactful when I played it, but despite having access to as much energy as I have, it's hard to just sort of keep established and keep defending it. I was playing against a lot of aggressive matchups. It is something I could honestly see myself cutting. I don't think I will, but if I find something that's really, really strong, or if I just really want to bring the deck count down, because I think I'm at about 57, this would be a card I'd look at. However, before I looked at cutting that, the card I would look at cutting is Absolute Annihilation.
Yeah, I think we talked about this literally before practice. I think me and John wasn't very big on this card.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it's insane against like King Cold, and in theory, it used to be really good in Mecha Frieza when you can lock him out, and you have so much energy to use and just abuse this. But nowadays, how do you think it performed?
It really only came up against blue, and in those matchups, it was really good. However, the 5-drop Frieza serves a lot of the same role. Look, when it's good, but honestly, I'd consider moving to the side and maybe moving the Force Self Awakener in or something like that. It's probably a card I should have cut, but I just didn't have the time to really test out an alternative, and it's probably the weakest card in the main deck.
I mean, right now, worst case, it is a 5k combo and a yellow charge, so
exactly,
we'll take it for now.
Fortunately, the card that isn't a yellow charge, but still very good, is Poutine. Only one. Again, I want to minimize my off-color cards. I've already got 5 of them. So just having it at 1 was fine. It does pair very well with Slug, obviously, but another consideration with cards like Slug, like Absolute Annihilation, like Poutine, is as strong as they are, they turn off your dispos, and that can matter a lot in certain matchups, and honestly, I could see myself testing a build of this if there was another event coming up where I cut out all of like the little hate bears and just ran more dispos. Possibly it's wrong, and it very likely is, but it's something I'd consider. And then last card of the deck, and honestly a real underperformer, was Bogomo.
Yep, I totally agree as well. Even when I played Icarus here, this card absolutely underperformed. I don't think out of the whole tournament I played it once only.
Yeah, I can only remember casting it once and it got counterplayed, which, don't get me wrong, like, it's good to get counterplays out of the hand, but it's just not that impactful as a one of. Don't get me wrong, I don't think it can go back to 4, because once you can start to build around this card, then it becomes amazing. However, as a one of, I am very close to cutting this. The only thing that makes me hesitate is the play of you establish a riposte, they try to swing past the riposte, they have to tap to play it, then you get to play this out, tap them down. Actually, no, one other situation I played this, which was quite strong, was against one of my blue opponents. They went to play an extra card, and since the extra card is tapped down by Absolute Annihilation's effect, I was able to chain this in and sort of disrupt their plays. But it was niche, and it was probably a bit of a win more. So.
I know that in theory, this card is actually not bad. Just against the Gohan Icarus matchup right now, because they're mono yellow, your goal is to aim to tap them out and then just kill them on the crackback. So did it ever come up where you can like tap them out and just kill them?
Not that I can think of, no. And a lot of the times when I did that, it was like a win more situation where they didn't have it anyway. And I was already like established with Divines or Dragon Fists or stuff like that. It's just a medium fair. Honestly, just the fact that it can come down on your opponent's turn as a 20k is probably the best part of the card. And if I'm looking into that, then maybe I should just look into running the Bardock 8.
Yep. Okay. Fair enough. Alright, so that's your main board.
Yep.
We should go into the sideboard right now.
Yep. All right. So let's just get this out of the way with. I don't want to lose to hand control.
Yep.
Honestly, these. Oh, I do have a third 8. There we go. These probably matter against 16 more than they do Cell. And the Deborahs are kind of really bad in the Cell matchup. Like, you just can never stick them. They've always got a Masked Saiyan there. So I'd probably, honestly, I am looking for more sideboard slots, so I'm very tempted to just cut two of the Boras, add a fourth ape, and just say Bob's your uncle. Honestly, on the day, I did not find the Cell Search matchup that hard. I don't know if the opponent just drew poorly or what, or just wasn't, again, expecting such an aggressive start.
Yeah.
But I was able to apply enough pressure that maybe I don't need this as much.
Yep, no,
So,
fair enough.
There you go over there. Self-Awakener, just the fourth one for matchups where you're slower and you want to find that fourth Self-Awakener. Nothing special there. These two come in against your big boy matchups. So Red or Dark Broly, Sin, that sort of thing. Some blue matchups, I guess. Honestly, occasionally I just bought this in over Fu where I just wanted another aggressive Overwhelm and I didn't think I'd get to turn 6. But yeah, this clears out boards, this clears out singular threats and can be another negate in aggressive matchups. They both came in, they were both good, but they weren't outstanding. Card that's been picking up a bit of steam lately.
Ooh, love
the
this
Power
card,
Couple.
yeah. How did this perform?
This performed really well when it came in. It was able to clear out things. An interesting point that I want to point out that didn't come up in the tournament, but did come up when we were testing, is this card is very good against Slug, because since it ignores Barrier, yeah, you don't get to draw the card, which sucks, but it makes your makes the opponent's Slugs in range of your riposts and in range of your Awakened Leader swings. One thing I did against you in testing betting, if I'm remembering correctly, is you had a Whis and a Slug out. I was able to take out the Whis and then just like swing into the Slug, and it just wasn't worth you defending.
Yeah, so for those that don't know, this is actually -5 for the duration of the turn you cast it. So you can keep swinging at Slug with the D-Sensu Beam, you know? Honestly, really, really amazing.
Speaking of cards that are good against Slug, and a bit of a spicy one here,
Yep.
2 copies of Justice Blast. So this is a bit of an old tech. So what this does, three energy extra card. You can combo it away as an activate battle, sort of like the Dragon Balls, for example. However, its main effect is 3 energy, pick any of your opponent's cards in rest mode, also battle cards in rest mode, ignoring Barrier, negate their skills, and KO it. So this clears Zamasu, Deity's Wrath. This clears the Sin 9-drop without triggering its effect. This clears Slug. This clears Absolute Annihilation if they chose to swing with it, although a bit expensive there. Yes, it's an expensive card, but honestly, being able to kill one of your things, restand your energy, and use it like that makes it a lot more palatable. Also, occasionally I bought it in matchups where I just wanted to increase my combo ability but not cut into my extra card count for riposts and for Goku. So I actually really, really like this card. Didn't come up as much in the matchups I actually played in. I think I only bought it in against the Cell matchup because I saw they were running Deity's Wrath. But it is a card that I would have been very happy to see, and it did real work in testing, and I definitely recommend trying it out if you've got sort of an energy-efficient yellow deck like this one.
Awesome. Spicy, eh?
And then the final piece was 2 Vegeta Unison of Fury. These were the last sideboard cards I added in. Look, they came up in the blue matchups, they came up in Red Broly. I tried siding them in against King Piccolo just to be lower to the ground and more aggressive. That didn't work, but it was something to experiment with. The good thing about this one is usually you have to either tap it down or like a threat and to tick it up and tick it down. This one, since you're already just planning to play a bunch of sacrificial battle cards anyway, I would establish this, play a 1-drop, tap it down, sack the 1-drop, untap. And that's actually, just on that note, I guess there's like a little tip here with this deck in general. If you are looking to establish a Unison, if you can, play the Unison first, then the battle card. That way it's a lot harder for them to counterplay with stuff like Yamcha. But yeah, this card was good when it was good. Don't bring it in against King Piccolo, that doesn't work, but it was worth the experiment. And it's pretty easy to ultimate out and then just kill them.
Alrighty, guys, so this is Will's Golden Frieza deck. So any final shout-outs you would like to give?
I mean, obviously, Collector's Company, got to give a shout-out to the team, collectorscompany.com.au, get your cards, we've got the Mythic Booster coming up. Look, I just want to shout out, again, the rest of my team, Benny, John, Glenn, all good, and I just want to give special shout-outs to both Lachlan and especially Blake, who helped me test a lot. Blake had to play a lot of very depressing matchups against this deck to figure out what the matchups were, but no, it really genuinely helped me a lot, and I do put a lot of my success towards that. And also I just want to shout out both Cardtastic, where we're filming now, and of course my other main locals, which is Next Level Games standing on.
Awesome, thank you so much. Congratulations once again on your top 8 performance, and yeah, we'll hope to catch you guys later.
See ya!